Hi, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. In today's video, I will tell you all about this top that I've just made, the pattern that I used, why I picked the style, and if I'm happy with it. This year, I am trying to take more inspiration from people that I know, people I see on the street, people I see on TV or in movies, and less inspiration from magazines or pattern envelopes. I had it in my mind that one of the things I really wanted to make this winter for spring wear was a woven top with a button front and puffy sleeves. One of my in real life sewing friends made a top like this last year and I loved it. And then someone I follow on Instagram, Susie.Wright, wore a very similar style top and I loved that. I made up a little croquis so I could decide if I was going to like the shape on myself, and yes, said I wanted to give that style a try. In my last video, I showed you that I bought a pattern and fabric at Zieman when I was in the States. And the pattern that I bought is New Look 6707. Super simple little top. This is exactly what I wanted. And then I also bought some fabric that was on sale at Zieman to use as a wearable toile. And that's this fabric, which is, what do they call it? Let me tell you what it's actually called here. Magenta Garden Cotton Spandex Poplin. 97% cotton, 3% spandex. It says cotton, durable, soft hand. I would argue this doesn't have a soft hand. It's poplin. It's kind of stiff. But I got the fabric for, I don't know, almost $9 US. Loved the print. Thought it would be fun to use for a wearable toile. That's what I made. Making the top. So I have this New Look pattern. I've sewn lots of New Look patterns before. And what I normally do when I'm sewing a top like this is I start with my shoulder size and I do FBAs or I adjust out. Typically, I'll start with, depending on the top or how I'm feeling that day, I'll start with a 16 or an 18 or even a 20. I'll look at the finished garment measurements. I got this pattern. Well, let me say that I was sewing this when I was away. So I didn't have all my tools or supplies or notions or dedicated space to work. Pulled out the pattern and realized that it is sizes 4 to 16. Euro 36 to 42. Really small. So I knew that I was going to have to do a bunch of work to make it fit. As I mentioned, I was away from home and I didn't have all my stuff with me, but I wanted to make it. And I also have to keep my hands busy. So I just decided to make it work. This fabric isn't precious to me. The pattern, however, I wanted to preserve. So I had to think about how I could adjust the pattern without taping together 36 pages of notebook paper. I first made the one adjustment I knew I would have to make regardless that I could make with what I had on hand, and that was a high round back adjustment. I always have to do that. I figured that out. What I did next is going to horrify some of you who are sewing purists. Avert your eyes. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I knew that the adjustments I had to make could be achieved with Nancy Zieman's Pivot and Slide. Now, if you don't know what Nancy Zieman's Pivot and Slide method is, I am going to link a YouTube video from her down below. If you want me to show how I do a pivot and slide, which is basically using Nancy's method, then make a note in the comments and I can always do a video on that at some time in the future. But Nancy was the master, and this is such a wonderful way to alter patterns without too much math. I'm good at math, but sometimes my brain is tired. Anyway, again, sewing purists are going to hate what I did. I had the fabric, I had a Frixion pen. I decided to just do the pivot and slide directly on the fabric. If I ruined the fabric, I didn't care. I just wanted to preserve that pattern so I could bring it home and do it properly the next time. I started out by tracing the pattern pieces onto the fabric. I measured everything and made sure that I was adding the right amount everywhere, starting at the bust, and then waist and hips. Traced the pattern off onto my fabric, directly onto the wrong side of the fabric, as if I was laying it out. Used a Frixion pen for that, and then I made my adjustments. I added to the bust, the waist, the hips. And I just traced them onto the fabric with a Bic pen and cut them out and sew. And it worked perfectly. Oh, the other change I had to make is I dropped the bust dart, dropped the bust point. But it worked just fine. Now, the problem is I don't have pattern pieces with those adjustments. So I'm going to have to go through the whole thing again here at home when I have tissue paper. That's fine. Perfectly okay. There are a couple little changes I'm going to want to make to this anyways. Yeah, sewed it up. Sewed it up on my little travel machine, and I actually finished it here at home because I struggled a little bit with these sleeves. I haven't even really shown you this top, have I? I'm going to pop in a little video of me wearing it and I'll tell you all about it. And here we are. So the pattern. Wovens, made for wovens. It has button front, 5 buttons, bust darts. The front is faced and around the back neck, and then it has these poofy sleeves. And you can have the sleeves with a band. I used a band or ruffle. You can also have a ruffle collar on this. I would never make the collar. I don't think I would ever make the collar. And the sleeves have little pleats to make them poofy. And I'm not sure, I really struggled a little bit with these pleats. The ones most forward and most backward on the sleeves kind of wind up angling down. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, but I couldn't find any way to make that particular pleat not point downward. But I'm probably being overly picky. This is a fresh piece of video that I am inserting because last night when I was editing this video and I was going through the different video snippets that I was putting in, I realized that while the back of the top looked fine when I was standing straight and not moving, as soon as I moved, it caught on my butt and my hips. And I just figured I may as well fix it right now because I will never be happy with the back looking that way. So all I did was I added 2 fisheye darts right here. Just 2 little fisheye darts. They're not perfect. They certainly perform in the way they're supposed to. Now I can move around, and not that I usually do the twist, but I can move around and I don't have to worry about the fabric in the back getting caught on my hips and on my thumb. Very simple little adjustment. Today I am also wearing skinny jeans because I wanted to get an idea of how much I liked this top with non-wide leg pants. Now back to the regular video. In terms of styling, I am thinking of making a short, kind of boxy jacket to wear over this. This jacket's a bit old, ready-to-wear jacket. It's vinyl, and the vinyl's actually cracking. That's how old it is. But something about this length, maybe a little bit boxier. Thinking that might be the next thing that I make. I'm not sure. I like this top with wide leg jeans. These are ready to wear, high-waisted wide leg jeans. And I'm wearing them just with sneakers, as the Americans say. Runners, as the Canadians say. Well, the verdict is that I like this much more than I thought I would. The people that I'd seen wearing it were all much more, well, they're not, several inches shorter than me and much more petite than I am. And I wasn't sure how well the shape would translate to my figure. I think it's good. There's no telling if I won't see myself in a mirror or a window at some point in a month or two and say, oh, I don't like that. I think it's okay. It's a different shape. One of the reasons why I think I like it is because it's current. And it's always nice to wear something that's moderately in style. Another reason why I thought I wouldn't like this is because it has zero waist definition. And for the past couple of years, I have really been on a search for tops and dresses that would give me waist definition. And that is still ultimately my goal. But I like this. This fabric is a little crisper than I would normally select. It worked very well for this version, and I will absolutely wear this. This is not a wearable muslin. This is a wearable top. It's just a little crisper. Of course, the danger is if I use a fabric that's a little bit softer, I could lose some of the sleeve poofiness. We'll just have to see what comes with the next version. Pattern is very good. New Look 6707. The only downside I see to it is that it's not size inclusive. It only goes up to a US 16, which is a Euro 42. I think there's a blouse that's similar called the Anthea. I'll double check that and I'll put a link to the blouse down below. It's an indie blouse. And I looked at that, but when I could get a New Look pattern for, I don't know what I paid, like $250, I'm going to go with the less expensive pattern every time. So yeah, New Look 6707, my verdict is that I really like it. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. It's great to see you. If you're not a subscriber, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the bell, and then you'll be notified next time I release a video. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope that you're well. If you enjoyed this video, you may like this one where I talked about one of my favorite tops that does have a hint of a waist. I'll see you soon.